You think strength is what others can see. That protection is a visible wall, built with achievements, titles, perfect defenses. But what if I told you the most unbreakable fortresses are invisible? They aren't built for show, and they don't need to be seen. They're born from small gestures, simple, almost imperceptible, repeated in silence when no one's watching. Real fortresses don't need to be seen to exist. They live in the most precious and fragile place there is, you. Maybe that's why you feel so exposed, so vulnerable, because you spent your energy building sandcastles out there, and no one ever taught you how to live inside a fortress of your own. You feel it, even if you can't name it. Some days, it's like your skin is too thin for the weight of the world. Words cut right through, looks sting, absences hurt. You walk the streets as if carrying a house on your back. But inside, it's all empty, all exposed. At night, you toss and turn, trying to find a position where your chest stops feeling so heavy. But it doesn't exist. The weight isn't in your body. It's in the unspoken silence, the invisible battles you fight that no one sees. You scroll on your phone, looking for refuge. Fingers, moving mindlessly, eyes fixed on nothing. Trying maybe to build a wall between you and what you're feeling, but the screen only reflects it back. A tired face, hollow eyes of someone who no longer knows how to protect themselves. You've tried building defenses, tried being flawless, tried adapting, moving fast, being strong, being perfect, tried becoming untouchable. But every fortress built outward collapses, sooner or later, because no one told you. Real walls aren't made of cement. They're built with daily, silent choices, small gestures, repeated with no audience. And without these gestures, you feel what you feel now. Emptiness, fragility, exhaustion. It's not weakness, it's not a flaw, it's just the absence of an inner structure. And what you need most isn't more speed, more noise, more defense. It's to return to yourself and start building, stone by stone, something no one can ever take away from you, an invisible fortress. You were taught that protection comes from the outside, that you need to pile up achievements, armor your emotions, build shields. They told you if you were strong enough, no one could ever hurt you. But they forgot to explain. The real walls can't be seen. They're not built from iron or from forced silence or from fake indifference. True fortresses are built from small, quiet habits, planted in fertile soil, nurtured through constancy. It's like an invisible tree growing inside you, deep roots, silent branches, leaves no one can see moving. Every small gesture is an invisible stone. Every daily choice, a new layer of protection. It's not the absence of pain that builds your fortress. It's how you learn to live inside it, even when it hurts. Picture a castle surrounded by massive walls, built in a rush to impress. Beautiful, sure, but hollow inside, fragile against the first storm. Now imagine another one, silent, without fuss, built inward, stone by stone, gesture by gesture, steady, even if invisible, unshakable, because it doesn't depend on anyone's approval. That's the fortress that matters. That's the fortress you need, and it doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts with small ones, silent ones, repeated ones. Today, I'll show you 6 gestures, 6 invisible stones that day after day will shape a fortress no one else can see, but you will feel it beating inside you. The first gesture isn't some grand action. It's a pause, a crack in the noise of the world. Intentional silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the presence of yourself. It's that moment when, surrounded by 1,000 voices, you choose to close your eyes and listen to the only voice that matters, your own. It's not easy. For someone used to noise, silence can feel threatening, like a dark room where old fears wake up. But in that darkness, there's something you forgot to. Look for clarity. Intentional silence is like sitting at the center of a storm. Everything spins outside, but right there, in the middle, it's calm. That's where the fortress starts to rise. Not to shut you off from the world, but to make sure the world can't tear down what's yours. Make space for silence, even if it's just a few minutes. Put the phone down. Let the news scroll by. Let the clock keep ticking. And just listen. Listen to what isn't said. Listen to what beats underneath the anxiety, the rush, the pressure. That's where the first stone is laid. In the chosen emptiness. In the fertile void. Because before you build a fortress, you need to respect the ground it stands on. And your ground is silence. Not every brick is stone. Some are words, but not the words you throw out in a rush, or the ones you use to convince the world you're fine. These are careful words, chosen like someone planting a rare tree. Words you first say to yourself, and in that quiet, they start stitching back what's been broken without you even noticing. There are words inside you that wound. Words you've repeated without realizing. Old judgments, forgotten demands, voices that were never really yours, but stayed. Anyway, and now, like clearing away rubble before building a new home, you have to replace them. Replace I can't with I'm learning. Replace I'm a mess with I'm in progress. Replace I'm late with I'm exactly where I need to be to rebuild. Every word you speak to yourself is a stone laid with intention. Light stones, but strong. Stones that hold steady even when the wind howls. When you choose words that heal, you're not ignoring the wounds. You're stitching them up, thread by thread, patiently. The invisible fortress you need isn't built with heavy silence, nor with sharp, punishing words. It's built with fertile silence and soft words. Words that hold your pain without rushing it, without fixing it too fast. Tonight, pick one word. Just one. Hold it in your mind like you're holding a small flame in your hands. That word will be your stone for today. And without even noticing, your inner wall will grow. We live to be seen. Every achievement, every little effort, displayed like silent trophies in invisible windows. But what really builds an invisible fortress doesn't need an audience. The unseen movement is the gesture no one claps for. And that's exactly why it's pure. It's the workout done when no one's watching, the kindness offered in the dark, the effort that isn't currency for approval or a badge of virtue. There's a secret power in doing something just for yourself, with no eyes on you, no applause expected. It's like digging a well in dry earth, knowing that maybe no one will ever see the water rise. But it will be there, silently nourishing your deepest roots. The movement without witnesses is a gesture of respect for yourself. It's a quiet promise you make to your own soul. When you walk alone, without an audience, without spotlights, and still choose to act with truth, that's when another invisible stone finds its place, firm and steady inside your fortress. You don't need applause. You need peace. You need to know that even when the world isn't looking, you stay true to yourself. Tomorrow, choose one movement without witnesses. A small action only you will know about. Maybe it's waking up early for yourself, writing one line of an old dream, taking care of something nobody notices. But you know it matters. These silent, solitary movements are the beams that hold up the invisible home growing inside you. Not everything needs to be said. Not every wound needs to be exposed. Not every joy needs to be shared. There's an ancient strength in what stays unsaid, a strength that doesn't hide. It protects. That doesn't fake. It preserves. The unsaid is like a garden behind low walls. Those passing by can glimpse the treetops, but only those invited can step inside. In a world that demands constant explanations, keeping certain words, certain feelings, certain dreams to yourself is an act of quiet sovereignty. Some wounds need silence to heal. Some dreams need to mature in the dark before they're ready for the harsh light of expectations. Keeping isn't suppressing. Keeping is nurturing. It's recognizing that some things inside you are too precious to be ripped away by the rough hands of haste or opinion. The unsaid preserves your energy. It reduces waste. It builds sacred rooms inside you where the world can't enter, where only you can breathe. When you choose what to keep unspoken, not out of fear, but out of respect, you place another stone in your invisible fortress. A silent but heavy stone. A stone that, even unseen by others, carries the weight of what's truly yours. Today, look inward and choose something to keep in silence. A feeling, a desire, a small beginning only you will know about. Preserve it, nurture it, and the fortress will grow. When everything inside you is screaming to run, staying becomes an act of courage. The restless mind looks for exits, new projects, new places, new distractions, as if changing the outside could calm the chaos inside. But sometimes, true strength isn't in leaving, it's in staying. Staying where it hurts, where the ground feels shaky, where time slows down and silence weighs heavy. Choosing to stay is like planting roots in the middle of a storm. It's telling yourself, I'm here. I can. Handle this, I'll wait. Not because it's easy, but because you know it's not running away that heals. It's conscious staying that shapes you. Staying is an invisible gesture. No one applauds it. No one sees it. But inside you, a fortress starts to rise. Brick by brick, with the patience that can't be rushed. Staying is an act of humility. It's trusting that some internal processes can't be sped up, that pain has its own timeline to teach, and that discomfort is also part of the construction. Today, instead of running, take a deep breath and stay. Look at the discomfort like you would look at a tough but fair teacher. Let yourself feel without escaping. The fortress grows faster where you dare to stay, where you decide it's safe to be who you are even when it's uncomfortable, because only those who stay grow roots deep enough to hold. The last gesture isn't a movement, it's a return. While the world teaches you to look outward, to compare, to chase, to keep running, what really shapes your invisible fortress is the rare, brave act of looking inward. Looking inward is like lighting a lantern in a forgotten cave. At first, there's only darkness, rough walls, disconnected echoes. But with time, shapes start to emerge. Abandoned dreams, unresolved pain, parts of you still waiting to be seen. Looking inward isn't about judging yourself. It's not about punishing yourself for not being where you thought you should be. It's about observing with tenderness, recognizing with honesty, sitting down with yourself and quietly saying, I'm here, and that's enough for today. Inside you, there are rooms locked for years, gardens that could bloom again, rivers that dried up, but whose beds still remain, ready to be filled once more. Looking inward is opening these doors without fear. It's walking those hallways with patience, without rushing to clean it all up, without the panic of needing to turn pain into decoration. Today, close your eyes. Breathe. Ask yourself, what inside me needs to be seen right now? No judgment, no correction, just witness. That look is the final stone of your fortress, the stone that seals, that binds, that strengthens, the stone that turns you into someone not just strong, but whole. You won't see the fortress growing. There won't be clear signs or loud announcements. The stones settle in silence, in the small daily gestures that seem too small to change anything. But they do. Not because they're loud, but because they quietly hold up the most precious part of you. The part that doesn't depend on applause, validation, or visible achievements. The true fortress isn't an escape. It's not a hiding place. It's a home, an inner space where you can rest, without masks, without armor. A sacred place that doesn't shake when the world trembles. That doesn't fall apart when judgment storms in. That doesn't weaken when failure knocks at the door. It's in the invisible that you'll find yourself. It's in the invisible that quiet strength grows. And one day, without even noticing, the strongest winds will come, and you'll still be standing, not out of arrogance, not out of hardness, but because your roots are anchored where no one can see. Pause. Feel. That's where it begins. In the end, you'll realize it's not the fortress that protects you. It's you who becomes the fortress. Each silent gesture, each invisible choice didn't build walls around you. It built roots within you. You didn't isolate yourself. You inhabited yourself. And now, in the silence where fear used to live, there's presence. There's steadiness. There's peace. The same winds that used to knock you down now barely touch the surface. Deep inside, where no one can reach without your permission, you remain whole. Not perfect, not untouchable, but whole. You are the fortress. You are the stone. You are the garden and the gatekeeper who decides who comes in. And every time you doubt, every time the world feels too big, remember, it only takes one gesture. One small silent gesture, repeated. That's how the invisible fortress is built. Gesture after gesture, choice after choice, with the patience of someone who knows it's the invisible that holds up the real. If this touched something inside you, maybe your fortress is already being built, quietly, without hurry. Subscribe and keep building this silent home with us.